Hello, everyone. Today we are going to be diving into a topic that many have asked for, and that is LinkedIn. So I can't wait to talk more about this with you. Let's dive in and get started. Let me just bring up the right screen here. Okay, my name is Angeline Harrell with Next Chapter Social, and this class today is going to be me only, not our beloved Brooklyn. But to be truthfully honest, I know a little bit more about LinkedIn than she does. So she was like, "Will you please do this class?" So here we are today, and let me start by saying, um, tell you a little bit about my let's see, we got a little bit ahead of ourselves there. LinkedIn journey, which is kind of new. Okay, so I've been on the platform, goodness, a long time, over a decade, well over a decade. I don't even know when LinkedIn first started, but maybe like you, I have been on it. I update my personal bio information from time to time. Every once in a while, I'll get on and scroll a little bit and comment, or if I see somebody request, I'll get on the platform. But I haven't actively used this platform really ever. I've certainly not used it to post content and grow my business. However, I'm a social media coach, and all of my clients and all of the businesses that I've worked on in the past, we've all used Facebook and Instagram primarily as our platforms. But I did have a client earlier this year who really wanted me, he was a B2B brand and really wanted me to focus on LinkedIn for his content. So I had to kind of dive in and learn this platform from a different perspective. And it inspired me to use it more for my own business and to grow Next Chapter Social. And because I have, really dug into it and learned a lot, it has been phenomenal. So I'm excited to share with you. I'm still considered kind of a newbie because, again, like I said, even though I've been on it forever, this has been my first year to really dive in. So been fun, and I can't wait to share with you what I've learned. Now, this class is really, there is so much you could learn about LinkedIn, probably just like any other platform. But in this short class that we're going to do today, we are not going to become experts in LinkedIn. This class is really designed to kind of help you get started. Later on, we can do a class to help you, grow from here to here. But right now, we got to get you from here to here. So please, take this for what it is. This is going to be a great platform. I couldn't possibly dump all the information on into your brain. So we're going to get you started. So take this as kind of your first 10 steps, not your first 100. Okay. But we're going to learn how to maximize your LinkedIn profile. You're going to learn who your LinkedIn audience is. We're going to talk about how to share content that highlights your expertise, builds your authority, and provides value. And then how do you grow on this platform? So we're going to dive into that as well. Okay, now why do you want to be on LinkedIn in the first place? Well, here's what's interesting. Their demographics skew a little bit older than Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Okay. Certainly more professional. There's more men on this platform than the other platforms. And their income is higher. So you're dealing with definitely a more professional client. The other thing that's interesting about this is that the audience has a different mindset. Let's talk a little bit about that. Other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram, we go there to zone out. Certainly TikTok, this is this way. We do it for entertainment, just for pleasure, for just when we're like trying to go to bed, but we want to laugh at dog videos or, scrolling. I love the inspiration that I get from Instagram. And I love that Facebook allows me to stay connected to my friends and family. But when someone gets on LinkedIn, they're typically on their computer, not their phone. Where they view this platform is vastly different than the other platforms. And they're more zoned in. They're tuned in to what's happening on the screen instead of using this platform to zone out. Okay. That changes things. They're ready to do business. They're in a different frame of mind. Okay. So whether you are in a B2B or B2C brand, we'll talk about this, it doesn't matter. Your audience is probably on LinkedIn, and they might have a little bit more of a ready mindset to work with you, and they probably have some more cash. Okay. It is a blue ocean opportunity. What is so interesting about LinkedIn is that we call it a blue ocean opportunity because the engagement is through the roof with this platform, and the algorithm is not that complicated. Okay. Algorithm of LinkedIn says, okay, so with Facebook and Instagram, we certainly want likes, saves, and shares. That is what we want. That's what the Instagram algorithm favors. But in LinkedIn, the algorithm favors engagement and conversation. So it's going to change your content just a little bit. It certainly favors authentic connection. Organic reach on LinkedIn works a little differently than other platforms. The watchword, if you will, of LinkedIn is interaction. So likes and shares are not as popular as individual comments and messages. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're interacting with other people and what you're looking for to get from your own content. Now, what else is interesting about LinkedIn is that there's a lot of lurkers. There's a lot of people out there who don't know what to post about, but they're on it and they watch. And when I mean, I've even seen this for myself. I've had, I would say, 3 different connections made. They're old contacts of mine since I've been active on the platform in the last year. I've had 3 different scenarios that really stand out in my mind that have led to big opportunities from people who have reached out to me from an old contact from way back in my past, and it has turned into a really incredible opportunity. But they're reaching out to me talking about something that I've shared. Well, if I go back and look at all my content, these 3 individuals who I'm now doing business with, none of them have ever commented or liked or any of my posts, anything like that with my posts, but they're seeing it. So we call them lurkers. That is an interesting fact. Only 4%. I heard this statistic somewhere, and I just think this is incredible. Only 4% of the people on LinkedIn are actually posting content. Is that crazy? So it's far from saturation. This platform works for B2B and B2C businesses. So imagine this. Let's say you have a product or a service that would help a busy professional. Well, do you think that those busy professionals are on Instagram during the day? No, probably not. They're at work. They're stressing about this or that or whatever. But when they're at work and they see something on LinkedIn, let me give you an example. Okay. Let's say you're a nutrition health coach, and your target audience is busy professionals who don't have time to take care of themselves, and you're trying to help give them an easy meal prep solution that doesn't take a lot of time, but it helps them with their nutrition better. Well, when that busy professional is downing her 5th cup of coffee and she's so exhausted and she's feeling run down and she's, getting ready to go out for a burger for lunch, don't you think if she saw a post about easy, healthy, nutritious lunches, that she might pay attention, because now you're speaking directly to her. You're helping her solve a direct problem. So we're going to talk about that in content, but just so you know, if you can do this well, you can reach your target audience through this platform, no matter what you sell. Okay. I will say it's, for most everyone. However, if your target audience is a stay-at-home mom, that's probably not the person you're going to reach on LinkedIn. You're better off on Instagram for that for that audience. Everyone else, I bet you'll really unlock some very cool new opportunities on this platform. I certainly have. It's been shocking to me. All right. So another question that people ask often, just like we do with Facebook, is, do I use a business page or do I set up, do I use my personal account? Well, maybe contrary to what we talk about posting on in meta world, LinkedIn is a little bit different. You're going to create a business page for your brand so that you have a page to reference that you talk about. I mean, nobody really follows us on Next Chapter Social. It's there, and there's some content. However, where all the action happens is on personal page with LinkedIn, my personal profile, if you will, personal account. This is where you want to build your interaction, because LinkedIn is all about those personal connections. So business pages are more static. The interaction is definitely going to happen more in the personal pages. Now, that being said, what we do is our social media scheduler app allows us to post content to our business page on LinkedIn. And so we do that. We take advantage of that, and we do post content there so that there is kind of a flow. So if somebody lands on our page, they want to go look at it, there will be content there, and it's very consistent with the content they're seeing on other platforms. All right, so let's talk about optimizing your LinkedIn profile, which is where you want to start. I've pulled up Amy Solgrove, who's one of our social club members, and she does it very, very well. Amy is really becoming a LinkedIn expert. This platform is amazing for her because she is a talent recruiter. And so she uses LinkedIn like a boss. So let's talk a little bit about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. And really, there's about 10 steps to optimizing your profile. But until you have a lot of content and connections, some of these steps won't apply. What you should do is start with these 5 and about 6 months of consistent content and connection building. And then you'll want to come back and you'll want to update your profile with some of the other bells and whistles. And if you Google just optimizing your LinkedIn profile, the LinkedIn training for this is actually really good, the one that comes up from LinkedIn. All right, but let's talk about this. Profile pic, background photo. Your profile pic should be, a clear photo of you. Could be a big, close up or something like this. It's a very nice headshot. Love the color in the background. That's really good. And then you can see how Amy here has created a background photo that really says what she does. It's almost like a business card. I think that's very cool. All right, the headline here is not just your job titles. Make it the opportunity to talk about your role, what you do, and what makes you tick, or even who you serve. I love this good examples, how she uses more of a sentence, not just puts in job titles. What you can't see here, because it's a little bit further down the page, is the summary, which is kind of like where people put more of like a mini resume. But if you in your summary, if you tell a story rather than just listing your job titles and skills, it becomes far more interesting. People are far more likely to read it. They're getting to know, they're building that like, know, and trust factor about you. So use that summary not as a mini resume, but as a way to tell your story about how you have created this company, or what you're doing, or how you've solved problems. Make it relevant. Okay. Spotlight your services. Well, this is a cool feature that has been added. I think this is in creator mode, but it's a new LinkedIn feature that helps consultants, freelancers, and those working for smaller businesses to showcase the range of services that they offer. And what you'll love about it is that not everybody has to use all of the features in the LinkedIn profile. So Amy uses some and not others. And that's the good thing, is that you can really customize your LinkedIn profile, and you'll see some examples of that as we go through. But certainly request recommendations from people that you've done business with. Those testimonials and recommendations on your profile are valuable. And so you'll want to give some recommendations to others and ask for some back. All right, let's talk about creator mode. This is a very cool feature of LinkedIn that has been, it's a fairly recent, the last couple of years. Now, when you have 500 or more connections, you can access creator mode. Until you get to 500, you're going to be in the traditional mode. But it gives you a little bit more room to play with, okay? And I'm going to talk about the benefits of creator mode. Now, you'll find it in the resources section of your profile. Okay. So go there and see if it's an option for you. If it is, turn it on. It will take your connect button and switch it to follow. Okay. People can still connect with you. They just go to the little three dots more and send a connection. But while they're awaiting your response, they can just follow you, or they can just follow you, period. They never have to make a connection. That's why now in the LinkedIn profile, it tells you how many followers and how many connections that you have. They're both really good. And there's a lot of reasons why LinkedIn is going to reward you for using creator mode. You do get some extra profile features, which we're going to talk about in the next slide, but your grow and reach is going to get better because LinkedIn has created this. And just like any other platform, they love it when you use their tools. So they're going to favor those who are in creator mode. And it will also give you it shows your profile as a suggested follow for people. So it's going to help you find new people. It's also going to help push your content out there so that you can be found by your ideal clients. Just know that the wind is behind your back with creator mode because LinkedIn wants you to use it. The algorithm will work a little bit harder for you, and it will connect you to those following your type of content, who's following the type of topics that you follow about. Okay. It's a really exciting new feature and you're going to want to use it. So let's talk about some of the features that come with creator mode. This is Heather Lyle's profile. Some of you may know her. Heather is a communications coach, and you can see again how she's maximized her profile in a little bit different way. I also just want to mention, I don't have one because this is not a video playing, but a lot of people can use, well, anyone can use, a lot of people do use this now. Instead of just a profile pic, you can actually make that a video now as well. And if somebody scrolls over it, they'll see it's like, it can be up to 30-second, a video of you talking about your business. So that's kind of a fun little feature as well. But in creator mode, hashtags in your profile to show what you talk about. So again, you can see Heather's looks a little bit different than Amy's. She's using some different of parts of the profile features, which is the cool part. You can really customize it. But this is a creator mode benefit. You can talk about the hashtags that you are going to be sharing in your posts. It, again, just kind of gets you extra reach. You can create a custom link in your bio, and then it gives you access to LinkedIn lives and newsletters. So a newsletter is kind of like an email blog, okay, that you would be sending out to your email list. So if you're writing content in your email list, you could also go on and push it into your LinkedIn newsletters. What that does is anyone who is following and subscribing to your newsletter, they get an email to your content. They get an email saying Heather has a new newsletter. It's the exact same content you would put in your email. It's like a blog, okay, like a blog content. But it gives you extra reach because you don't have the emails of your LinkedIn followers, but LinkedIn has them. So you can push out a newsletter. It goes to their email. You can have a call to action to sign up for something, a lead gen for you that would actually help you collect their email. But it gives you another way to reach your audience on a more personal, deeper level. Okay. Another creator mode benefit is this featured section. So you can pin posts to your featured sections. You can also pin your newsletters there as well. It's a cool feature. All right. Let's talk about content. Everybody wants to know, okay, what do I actually post on LinkedIn and how is that different? Well, I'm going to repeat myself here. You have all heard this. We talk about it all the time, but know who your ideal customer avatar is, period. Always, always. But think about it from a LinkedIn perspective, who you want to reach. Is it a little bit different than who you're speaking to on a different platform? Probably not, but since you might be having a slightly different audience here, it gives you a chance to maybe try a little something new or go after that demographic that maybe you aren't reaching over here. It could be the same, but you want to use your story brand model on, figuring out who your hero is, what their journey is, and how you're going to help them solve their problems. Do your mind map around this content, and this is how you're going to create your content strategy for LinkedIn. Now, when I talk about story brand and I talk about doing your mind maps, if any of that confuses you, if you are a social club member or if you are part of our ClassPass, you have classes on those two topics. So go back and reference those. And then after you watch this, okay, because that will help you sort of create your content strategy around your ideal customer avatar. But in general, think about this. Who are your clients that you have loved working with? Why? Is it because they were so easy to work with, or because you enjoy their personality? Was it because they paid on time? All those kinds of things. Write it out. Figure out who it is that you really love working with. And think about what keeps them up at night. Okay. What is a problem they want to solve? Even if you think, but my product is ice cream and I don't, solve a problem, that's okay. You can also have aspirational content, because just as we're talking about what keeps them up at night, what's a problem they want to solve, you can also look at it as how can I help make their life better? Okay, so if you're not a problem-solving business, you have an aspirational type business. What can I do to make them help them enjoy their life a little bit more? Everybody knows I have a jewelry business as well. My jewelry isn't solving a problem, but it's helping them feel better, look better, feel more confident. And that's more of an aspirational. So what would make them really happy is another way to say what keeps them up at night. How are you going to talk about your product? So that brings us to number 3. What transformations would they like to experience coming out of that problem, or stepping into their better selves, or having a fun pint of ice cream? I don't know. But what transformations? And then how can you use your knowledge and expertise to help them solve a problem or achieve their desired outcome? Okay, this is just a review, but I can't teach any kind of platform or marketing class without reminding you that your ideal customer avatar always has to be front and center in any type of content strategy. But with LinkedIn, you are certainly going to offer similar content to what you're doing on other platforms. But I'm going to teach you how to take those same concepts of what you're maybe sharing on other platforms and how you can customize it just a little bit for LinkedIn. But here's right off the bat, here's my 2 favorite philosophies around content on this platform is tell stories and provide value, tips, and educational nuggets. But I'm going to share with you the longer list in a minute, but these are my favorite. Okay. So let me give you a couple of examples. This is a networking group called Chicks in Charge that I'm a part of. And there's Heather in the front, Heather Lyle. And I was teaching at this particular class. And instead of posting, this picture and saying, great day networking with my networking group, she instead told a story and then had a call to action. So she kind of told a story, wove it into her business, and then had a call to action. That's a better way, more interesting read than just great day at my networking event, which is sometimes, kind of the default that we fall into when we can't think of something more creative. We've got to step into a little bit more creative vibe when we're sharing our content. So talk about what lessons you've learned, or share an idea, create a teachable moment, and certainly create a call to action. Here's another one of Heather's posts. We're talking about telling stories. Stories are so effective on LinkedIn because it's a little bit different. When I scroll my feed, I see a lot of, hey, we were here at this event yesterday. It was great. I see a lot of that, but there's a better way to tell those kinds of stories, right? Like just like what we just talked about. Here's another one. Here's a way to share something just slightly personal. She's playing golf and she's talking about how, she's not very good at it. And then, this example of taking a personal story and tying it into her business is brilliant. Okay. So this is what the platform loves. And these are the things that get the most interaction. Here's another one, an example of Brooklyn and I, and this has been one of my highest interacted posts and the one that has actually led to a couple of new leads for me. But this was a story about how we just got started, and here's, our first story, how we met, and then how we created Next Chapter Social, what we're doing now. So it's a cool story, it's a cool read. But what I'm also doing is planting a seed of, hey, we're in business. We'd love to work with you, right? And this is an interesting one that I want to just kind of point out. I cut off the hashtags on this, but my question at the end was, are you a solopreneur or do you have a partner? Would you work with a partner? Because I'm not selling. It wasn't like, reach out to us if you want to do business with us. All I'm doing is starting a conversation. I wanted interaction. I want the messages there. They're getting the message, right? You don't have to be so blatant about it. And I'm going to share with you in a minute why LinkedIn actually prefers that you do things more like this. Another thing that is very, very valuable on LinkedIn, content-wise, is to educate and share tips and value. This is exactly like what we suggest that you continue to do on all your platforms, is to create value first, share tips, educate, share your insights. Videos do work on LinkedIn, and that's something that people always ask. It's like, I don't know if video really works. It really does, but you've got to add captions because most people will not listen to it with sound. Okay, they're at their desk at work, so make sure you have captions added to your video. And if captions wouldn't work on your video, it might not be a good video for this platform. Okay. But here's your content formula, your winning content formula. And honestly, this is no different than, in this part is no different than any other platform. But we are going to use a hook that speaks to the problem. Now, the difference is here is that sometimes you'll see a hook in the image. Like in Instagram, we love for you to put your hook in the image or the video itself as text on screen. In LinkedIn, not so much. The hook is usually like that first sentence of content, and you'll see a little bit of that. I'll show you an example in just a second. And then the number 2 thing is you want to talk about your problem. Okay, that hook should be talking about your problem. Rather than, okay, let me just say, let's say you are a company that sells foot fungus cream, okay? Where I'm going with this example. But maybe you want to talk about the problem that someone has, like, do you wish you could wear sandals in the summer, but you can't because your toes have, aren't pretty, whatever, I don't know. But the people that see that, or if it's your audience, they are going to immediately stop and resonate with that. Now, let's take an example that feels a little bit more universal than toe fungus. I love that. That's an example that Marie Forleo always uses, and it just cracks me up, and it definitely sticks with me. So I know it will stick with you too, and you'll be thinking about it when you're writing your hook and problem. But let's go back to our nutrition coach. And maybe her hook is the problem. The hook is the problem, not the solution. The hook is something that people go, oh gosh, that's me. Like, are you on your 5th cup of coffee and now you're starving and don't know where you're going to have lunch today? Okay, now that is speaking to a lot of your audience, right? That will make them stop the scroll and read on for sure. So the next step then is to educate them with the solution that you offer. You're just going to talk about it. You're just going to say, hey, this can help you. And then you're going to have a call to action. And maybe that call to action is, tell me what you're having for lunch today, or would you like to eat better if you could, or would you love to have pretty toenails? Okay, so what's your call to action? Now, here's where LinkedIn is going to differ a little bit with their call to action. So be cautious about your call to action. This matters in this platform. What you don't want to do is take them off the platform. Now, sometimes you just need to have a link to something where they're registering for a class or something. Sometimes you got to do that, okay? But just like any other platform, they don't love it when you are putting in a link that will take them off, their audience off the platform. So just be aware of that. The other thing you want to be careful of in LinkedIn with your call to action is you don't want to ask for a like or a share, or even invite someone to comment. So and then this is a little bit of a blurred line, but if you say, tell me below or comment here, apparently LinkedIn doesn't love that type of call to action. They want it to be more organic conversation. Okay. That is not always possible. And it's okay to do some of those things. Just know that if it feels too spammy or too much like the other platforms, they'll downgrade the post. And I've actually seen this happen with some of my posts before I really knew this. If I go back and look at the ones that did well and the ones that didn't, it's interesting. Maybe my call to action was a little too aggressive or too obvious. Even I wouldn't even say aggressive. My calls to action are never aggressive, but maybe it was too obvious. It was, register for this or something. Just try to start conversation, just like that post I did with Brooklyn and I. Like, do you work with a partner, and see what kind of conversations you can get going? The message is already there. Okay. And trust me, I've seen it work, that they will actually, if they're interested to learn more, they're going to go to your bio and find out. All right, here's a good example of using your hook. So this is the first page of Heather's carousel that she's teaching on. And her hook is, do you wish you knew how to network better? Okay. Now she's offering a solution. She's telling people this is there's the carousel, and then this is the caption below. So she's offering a solution to help them network better. And she's also offering a call to action for them to register for her masterclass. Here's a couple other fun examples of, great hooks. See how, now this is Melissa Hinault. She's a LinkedIn teacher. She actually did use, I wanted to put this one in there because she used text on screen. I'm sure she put this one on Instagram as well. Very interesting. You don't see this very often on LinkedIn, and I like it because it is sort of more of the rarity. But the Great Resignation, heard of it? More humans leaving the workforce than ever. That's a pretty good hook. You kind of want to read what she's talking about, and especially when you read this one too, using LinkedIn to generate 7 figures in just 19 months. Amazing. So she's putting kind of a hook there and another hook there. That's awesome. Thimby is another one where she's talking about a good hook. And again, see how you can see this, the first 2 lines, maybe even three lines of your post. This is where you kind of want to put your hook in LinkedIn. Okay. All right, let's talk about post types. Everything works here. Video is amazing. Again, just like on Instagram, I'm sure this is Sandy. She's doing, she did a relationship. I'm sure this is I'm sorry, I read that relationship video. I'm sure she used this one on Instagram, maybe even on TikTok with the B-roll and the content in front. Amazing. Awesome. It was really, really good. It was very compelling. I loved it when I clicked on it. But if you do a face to camera, like the one that I showed you a minute ago when I was talking about educational tips, where I was face to camera, make sure you add captions, because again, like I said, that's really important. People are definitely going to read it more than listen to it. You can do that in the Captions app, which is a separate app. It's just called Captions. You can purchase that app if you want, or you can just turn on the closed captioning in your LinkedIn video. They have an in-platform caption ad. Then you can do that as well. Carousels. Okay, carousels work really, really well. They trend super high typically if you have a good hook on that first page. Here's what you need to know about carousels in LinkedIn. If you create a carousel, an educational, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of graphic, when you download it from Canva and you're going to put it on Instagram, you download it as images, and then you upload it to Instagram as images 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. LinkedIn is different. Okay. If you put it as images, it will show all the blocks on screen, just like a Facebook image does, right? It's not very effective. If you want it to be that scroll across where they have to slide, you download your carousel as a PDF. Okay. Download it as a PDF and upload it to LinkedIn as a document. And then it will take page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you want that same look as a carousel that you get on Instagram, download it and upload it to LinkedIn as a PDF. Okay. That's a bonus tip for you. And then images work great on LinkedIn. And again, you can add your hook. I really like, okay, see how this is like a more chunky, beefier sentence, paragraphy type feel start to her post, as opposed to Sandy's over here, which is more of a hook. So I like this better, but depends on the type of content you're sharing. But I think that this is a little bit more effective typically. And graphics are a great option on LinkedIn. Again, it's people love the good visual of learning something new. So the thing to remember is that a mix of content is best. Just do a variety and see what trends well for you. But even if you find that carousels are trending amazing, you still don't want to do more than one a week and then post some other types of content too. The other thing that's really great about LinkedIn is that size doesn't matter. So you can see that, like, you can share an Instagram type video, you can do a square, you can do a PDF. The size in pixel doesn't matter. It can be landscape, can be more vertical. It's very flexible, and I do love that about LinkedIn. Okay, captions. They give you a lot of words to work with, a lot of room. This one is from Keely. She does this better than anybody I know. Even though you have 2,000 characters available to you, should you use them? Well, okay, it's kind of a two-edged sword, because LinkedIn loves for you to use that full caption availability. They love it. They want the long post. The algorithm favors it. But your audience doesn't. Your audience wants it kind of short and sweet. Regardless, even if you do a long post, you want to make it so that your audience can quickly scan. So just like Keely's here, she's used lots of white space, emojis. This is a very, very, very effective content strategy for your captions. So do just like Keely. If you're going to make a longer post, do not write paragraphs. That's where you will lose people. They will just not do it. Okay. Hashtag strategy. Well, okay, this is going to be the easy part. I know hashtags are a big chunky thing in Instagram and Facebook, but it's really kind of simple with LinkedIn. 3 to 5 hashtags. Actually, 3 is really better. You don't want to do a whole lot. But the 3 that you really want to talk about is what you do, who your audience is, and what the post is about. And here's kind of the way to figure out, maybe have 5 hashtags that you like to switch out in different posts, and use 3, but maybe use 2 and then put one about the content itself. So if you're talking that day about networking, do a hashtag networking post, or you're talking the next day about leadership, that kind of thing. So switch out that 3rd one. But there's no bank of the hashtags. You can always Google it, top LinkedIn strategy, hashtag strategies, and see kind of what's, going on with BuzzFeed and that kind of thing. But what I suggest, and this is, in even some of the high level courses that I've taken, is just kind of play around with it. Go to the search bar, type in some hashtags that you're thinking about, see how many followers they have under that hashtag. So if you type in hashtag social media tips and see how many people are following that hashtag, you want kind of a medium usage, because that's where you have a chance to show up in trending. You don't want to use one that's like hashtag Christmas, and everybody's using it. You want to find those that are kind of that medium range so that you have a better chance to trend. But just kind of also when you go into that search bar to test some hashtags, it'll drop down and you'll have some options there. So see what else is there. And then the other one is that go ahead and follow some hashtags that you're interested in, and scroll through some of those posts of people using that same hashtag and see what other hashtags they're using. So again, it takes a little time to kind of develop your own hashtag bank. There is no quick fix on that, but spend some time on it. All right, so let's just sort of review a little bit about content. And I told you I would give you the full list of things that work really well on LinkedIn. Personal stories. We talked about that. You definitely want to share personal stories. Thought leadership. This is slightly different than educational value, but it's lumped into this, okay? But thought leadership also is about your insights and your wisdom, okay? This is good. You're going to have less interaction on these posts typically, but they are building your authority, okay? This is definitely something that you want. So show people how smart you are, but do it in a way that feels really subtle, okay? Talk about events. Show events where you are going, where you are speaking, that you're a part of. Show people that you're active in the community. But again, don't just say, hey, great networking day. Actually talk about something that you've learned or someone that you met or why this was valuable. It's just a better read. User-generated content. That is something where, like, let's say you are a brand where people are sharing your product out there. If you get a referral, if you get a not referral, like a testimonial or somebody showing your product off, or you're talking about your services, share that in your own LinkedIn. Third-party content. Here's the good news. This is a great platform for sharing an article that you love or someone else's post. It's okay to repost other people's content and add your thoughts and give another party a little boost. That's always appreciated, and LinkedIn loves that as well. And employee advocacy. That one is just about, like, if you are a brand where you have employees and you're sharing their content, it shows the person behind the brand, and that is always a really, really good thing to do. All right, let's move on to how to grow on LinkedIn. Thanks for hanging in there with me, y'all. We'll be done here shortly, but I want to give you some more tips on growing, okay? Because you don't just want to have a great bio and great content. Now we got to grow, okay? So let's talk about how we do that. Couple things you want to be aware of. Tips. Before you post, you've got that post ready to go, you need to spend a few minutes interacting with people in your network. Comment on a few posts. Go to my network at the top, scroll through some of those people, see if they've posted anything recently, or just scroll through your news feed, look for some strategic posts that you'd want to comment and leave some valuable comments on other people's posts. The best times to post, this is general, but 7 a.m. or 7 to 9 or 11 to 1 around and before they go to work or at lunchtime. People aren't usually scrolling LinkedIn in the evening like they do Instagram and Facebook when they want to zone out. But anytime during the day is better than nothing. And so you have to get this done when you have time. But I love it if you can just get it done in the morning and be done with it. Okay. And then you want to stay close to your comments for the first hour. So this is why I suggest doing it when you're at work yourself, because you'll get a little notification if someone comments on your post, and you can pop back over and reply to their comment. So again, creating that genuine conversations, and what happens within your first hour of posting is important. Now, if you could just post 3 times a week consistently on LinkedIn, you're going to get serious traction. Again, there's not a lot of traffic out there on the highway. So just getting out there on 3 times a week, it's going to do really, really good things for you. All right. So that's kind of your timing strategy. Now, here's where you want to grow and connect with other people. You see that the little button up here that says My Network. This is where you can go to see suggested connections, the people that LinkedIn thinks you might know. But you also want to actively seek out like people in your networking groups and look through your stack of business cards and go send connection requests to all those people that you've been collecting your business cards or digital business cards. Try to connect with them on LinkedIn. And then when you're out meeting out meeting new people, send them a LinkedIn connection request right away. Now, here's an interesting thing about LinkedIn. You can only send a certain number of requests a day, and that number can vary a little bit. There's not a hard and fast number. This is why. If you send 20 or 30 requests a day, if your connection rate is high, so people are accepting your connection, it will allow you to send more. But if people are not accepting your connection request, it'll kind of stop you and say you've reached your limit for the day. So you want to have about a 20 to 40% connection acceptance results. Okay. And that way LinkedIn was like, okay, this person is active. It's genuine. She's not spammy. So if you want a higher acceptance rate, you can include a message when you send a connection request to someone. It's only 300 characters. So it's a short thing. A short message of why you're interested in connecting with that person. It's got to be meaningful and genuine. So look at their profile before you send them a message and say, I saw that you were speaking at this, or I read your article on this, or I read your post about this and it really resonated with me. I wanted to connect with you. Or we have mutual connections and so and so and so and so, and if you know them, then I know you're somebody that I would want to know, or something like that. But you want to give them a little bit of a comment, a compliment, or a reason to actually want to connect with you. Okay. So again, about the direct messaging. Okay. So this is kind of what is LinkedIn is a little more interactive than just posting like on the other platforms. You can send that connection request. That is just solely designed for someone to accept your connection. But after you are connected with someone, there is a follow-up message you can use to start a conversation, build a connection, and then maybe take a next step if desired. So LinkedIn actually loves when you're using the platform to truly network. Okay. So let's talk about how you would do that and why. You're not trying to sell in your DMs. You're trying to give value. This is important, but this can lead to something that would be a next step. You can start a conversation with somebody and it end up being like that next big client, or you have something that could change their life. Don't start with that, because you've seen it. Like, if you're on LinkedIn at all, you've gotten those really spammy, really super direct DMs where it's just like, hey, would you be interested in learning more about this lead gen service that we offer? Or I've got this, I looked at your profile and I think you'd be great for this. They probably haven't. They probably say that to everyone. You don't want to be that person. So here's some ways you can kind of naturally start a conversation and build a relationship with someone. So it's that, hey, tell me a little bit more. I'd love to know more specifically about what you do or who you serve. That's kind of like a handshake. Like, what do you do? Maybe you offer a referral, or an opportunity for a referral, not a specific referral, but I have a great network. What can I do to help you? Kind of a question. Okay, so what is a common ground? Engage and ask questions. Did you both work at, JP Morgan for a time, or do you have a past connection or a current friend in common? Something. What is your common ground that you can kind of start a connection with, or just build a little bit of a foundation of a relationship with someone? Or give them a compliment. This one usually works great in that first step, that connection request, that, hey, I noticed you this, or I really read your post about this and it was great. Give them a compliment or ask for their advice. This one is a little bit tricky. I think this works a little bit better after, a couple of different DMs, but it's effective because you're saying to someone, I would value your opinion. I'd love for you to take a look at this and just let me know if you think this offer has legs. I'm about to share it with other people that kind of do what you do, and I'd love your thoughts on it. Is this the right direction? So ask them for advice, ask them for their opinion. Sometimes that will fall flat, but sometimes it can be, again, that connection where people read it and think, wow, she's got potential, or maybe they can help you. Maybe they actually have some valuable advice that could help you change what you're doing and give you that little extra edge that you just didn't even know you needed. Okay. So don't be afraid to DM someone, but do it in a non-spammy way. Use these as your guide and reach out to people for sure. Okay. Because this is truly a networking platform more than any others. Okay. So these are the things that you want to remember. I know this was a lot of information, but this is going to be a great place for you to get started. So number one, be a human online. That's across all platforms. And so LinkedIn, you don't have to put your blazer on and your glasses and act all stuffy. Be a human, still tell your stories, still tie in a little bit of personal to business value, share your face, all those things. Be a human. Engage and leave great comments. This is a more interactive platform. So spend some time scrolling and connecting with people. Post value-based content. Just please do. Don't be the person who's showing, bikini pictures on LinkedIn or just talking about the events that you've been to. Share something that would make people want to stop and read your post. And lastly, network. Okay. This is your virtual networking playground. So enjoy, use LinkedIn. I want to hear from you what you're loving about this once you get started. So lastly, let me just say, please connect with Brooklyn and I on LinkedIn, and even if you want on our business page. But if you will connect with me, if you'll send me a connection request on LinkedIn, I will definitely start commenting on your post and help you gain some traction as well. So look us up on LinkedIn, send a connection request, get started, and let's use this platform to your advantage, my friends. Thank you so much for watching. I've loved sharing this with you, and I cannot wait to see what you do with it.